Welcome everyone to the latest episode of Stuff You Need For, the show where we go through all the items you need to start a new activity. And today we're going to be talking about portrait photography, specifically studio portrait photography with off-camera lighting. So that's often a scary topic, off-camera lighting, non-natural lighting in general for photography, because normally what most people would do is they'd pick up something like this. This is a Nikon speed light or a flash for their camera, and they'd stick it in the camera and take a bad picture. Really harsh, annoying light. Maybe they take it off camera, and still, it was really frustrating to learn how to get the kind of light you want, like a nice looking light, in your photographs, because really the only chance you have to see what's going to happen is when you take the shot, because the light flashes, you only see it in your camera. If you don't have a good sync system with your camera, metering is hard, figuring out the power of all the different lights is hard. And it's just all around a frustrating experience. And also these are expensive. This is, I think, like $300, $400, $500 for just a normal flash. Now, if you're doing studio photography, you can pick up studio strobes or flashes, and that's a little less frustrating because you get bigger stuff. It doesn't have to be battery powered, and it has what's called modeling lights, which is just dim lights that are on all the time that show you kind of the general idea of what you're going to get with your light through whatever modifiers you have. But still, you need something like this. You need a light meter. So this is a Sekonic 508 light meter, and you'd hold it in front of the person you're taking a portrait of, and set off the flashes, get the reading, see what you should set your camera to, set your camera up, take the shot, see if it's what you look like, adjust again as needed. And that's still pretty frustrating, even though you've got a little bit more control beforehand with the modeling lights. So then for video, of course, you can't do flash. So there's always been these things called hot lights, like I have lighting me right now, or continuous lighting, meaning lighting that's on all the time. And traditionally, the reason those are called hot lights is that with normal lights, that gets hot. So if you get in close to your subject, like you would like to with the lights to get the right intensity and to make it seem bigger and more light wrapping around the subject, they will get sweaty and frustrated. Now, luckily, more recently, LED lighting and before that fluorescent lighting meant that you can have much more efficient lights, which means there's much more light output rather than heat. And while that's convenient, video lighting's traditionally been really expensive, but with LEDs becoming cheaper and cheaper, for flashlights and regular lighting and everything, there's a lot of manufacturers producing reasonably priced, less expensive than a speed light like this, LED lights. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So let's go through all the stuff. So first off, you might be thinking, oh, portrait photography. I need a camera, a nice camera. This is an expensive Nikon camera with a great lens. But really, the nice thing about controlling all your lighting is you don't. You can use even a cell phone camera, and I'll prove it to you later when we do a demo. Because you get lots of light, you're controlling it, and while there are still things that are impacted by the camera, the quality, like megapixel count and resolution and focal length, as well as dynamic range, like what's the brightest to the darkest range of color that it can capture at a time, you can control all that with your lights. So we'll do a demo later, prove to you that far more important is your lights and being able to control them. So given that, let's just run through the stuff you need to set up your lighting. So the first thing I'd recommend is what's called a mono light, which is a one light. That means there's just one thing here as opposed to an LED panel of lights. And this one is called the RPS Studio Cool LED 100. So there's this one, and there's a cool LED 200, which is brighter. I found the 100 isn't quite bright enough to be able to get my camera to the f-stop and the ISO settings that I want as a main light. So I use this as a secondary light, and the 200, the brighter version of it, as the main light. It has what's called a Bowen style mount. Bowen's is a brand that lets you attach modifiers. So it comes with this little reflector thing, but you're going to want to put soft boxes and things on them. I'll show you that in a little bit. So if you get one of these, one cool LED 100, one 200, the 100 runs $279. I got the 200 on sale for like $290, like almost the same price. I checked online recently, and it's going for $429. But really, any kind of, this is a generic Chinese-made light. You can probably find another one, and they're probably going to get cheaper as time goes on. So don't worry about it too much. Just make sure that all the lights you have the same color balance, or like these are daylight balance lights. The one downside of these is that for video, there's a fan in them and it makes noise. You've probably seen, if you check out I think the second and third Stuff You Need For videos, you can probably hear it in the background when voices are being quiet. So that's kind of annoying. Anyways, so that's the light. Then beside the light, you're going to want to get a backdrop. So this is called seamless paper. This is just white paper. It's a big roll. It's 4.5 feet wide. You can get a 9-foot version for group shots. This is great for headshots or single like upper body portraits. It's about $30 for a roll of 4.5 foot and about $50 for a 9-foot roll. Just get them locally at a camera shop, because then you don't have to pay shipping. Anything will do. So the nice thing about white is you can make that any color from black to white based on how much white light is falling on the backdrop. So if you want it pure white, you would need another light shining on it behind your subject. And then that way you can just make it a couple stops brighter than your subject, and then in camera it will appear as white. I think it's kind of a nice fall off if it's not, and you can get your subject way away from it if you're in the dark. Even if you're not in the dark and your subject is well lit, it will appear black. You can also get black paper, which makes it easier to get black. Generally speaking, if you have a blonde subject, they'll stand out nice, or a white, gray, very white-haired older subject. They'll stand out great against a black background. If they have dark hair, it's probably better to have a lighter colored background. That is, unless you are taking like a really like intense like sports shot where they're all shiny and sweaty, and then a black backdrop probably serves you well. You can get all sorts of different colors. So that's that. And then you need supports for your lights and your backdrop. So in the case of the backdrop, what I'm using is Manfrotto lighting stands. So these are 367B stands. You can see they come in a box about this big. They go up to 9 feet tall. They're pretty sturdy. And then the crossbar is a Manfrotto 272B bar, and it's adjustable. You just go like this, you twist it, and then you pull it out. It expands, I think, all the way up to 12 feet from about 4 feet there. Mounts on them, and you just put it through the roll of paper. And then you get, these are called, I think they're A-clamps. They're only a couple of bucks. You can get them at Home Depot or online, and that's just to keep the paper from unrolling. And that's not to say all those Manfrotto pieces are about $80 a piece. That's not to say you have to spend that much. There's a $75 setup from Linko that gets good reviews online. I haven't tried it, but I mean, even if it falls over or something, the worst that's going to happen, unless it's very close to your lighting and your camera and falls into them, which would be unfortunate, is the paper falls to the ground. Paper's not expensive. Now that said, when you are setting up your lights, I would not cheap out on the stands for that, because your lights are probably expensive, especially if they crash into each other and you take out a couple at once. And that's where I use air cushioned stands from Manfrotto. They're not as tall, and they're about the same price, a little more expensive. These are 1052 BAC. And what air cushion means is that once you've extended them, they're also very compact. They like squeeze into a smaller box, narrower, so it's easier to stack them. So what air cushion means and why that's nice to have is that as you extend it, you can hear that noise. It's kind of blocked off inside, so that if you say have loosened this and forgot about it and let go, it nice and slowly sinks back in because there's only a tiny hole for the air to escape. And what that means is that you won't suddenly have your bang, your lights collapse down if you're not careful when you're unscrewing them. And again, those are about $80. It's expensive, but it's cheaper than losing your lights or having them crash into your subject. Depending on your subject, they might not be very happy with you and how bad the fall is. So yeah, so that's the supports. You can also get cheaper crossbars and different pieces of this. I have a shorter crossbar. Actually, this one is a shorter crossbar from Cowboy Studio that was only $30. It doesn't fit a full 9-foot stretch of paper. So after that, what you want to get is lighting modifiers, because if you just use these lights there, like they are, or with the reflector, it'll be very intense, harsh light. It'll be dramatic. It'll fall off and be black on the other side. Which is fine if that's what you're going for, but a lot of cases, if you're just trying to take a nice headshot of someone, make somebody look nice, they're not gonna love you for making them look very intense and make all their ridges on their face stand out. So the way you do that, that I'd recommend, is to get what's called a softbox, and these fit on that Bowens mount. So this is a giant 3-foot by 4-foot softbox, and what it is there's this white fabric, and then inside that there's another baffle of fabric, and then inside that again it's just a silver reflective thing, and what that does is kind of evens out all the light coming in from your monolight at the back and causes it to spread out so that by the time it gets here, this whole white surface is the same brightness. And what that does essentially is make it so that all the light's not coming from one spot from your subject. It's coming from all the different parts of it equally. So it kind of nicely like shines on them from lots of sides, wrapping their face. So it's a nice, it's called a soft light rather than a hard light. And the closer you get that to the subject, the more surrounded they will be by that light, and the more that means it'll wrap nicely around them. So that's what you'd use for your main light. And then, and you have that kind of in front of them so that you can get a nice catch light in their eyes. I have glasses, so if I took these off, you might be able in the video, I don't know if it's zoomed far enough in to see a nice little shine to my eyes. And then the other thing for like a traditional like normal portrait that you'd want is a nice light coming on their hair, but to make a shine across their head, but only on their hair. So there's another softbox for doing that. This is an 8-inch by I think 36-inch, so 3-foot softbox. So it's a softbox just like that other one, except it, inside there. Except it also has what's called a grid. So this black grid of fabric is designed to make the light essentially go like directly out and not spread out sideways from the light. So you have it up above your subject like this, nice shine on their hair. It's called a hair light for that reason. So this is an LA softbox one from Amazon. It's only $50. This other one that I showed you earlier is from Photodiox. It's also only $50. And that's a really good deal compared to, if you are buying professional equipment where you can easily run into hundreds of dollars for the same things. And then you also have to pay separately for, these are called speed rings. These are the attachments that attach the softbox to your your monolights, and those themselves can go for like $50, $100. And essentially they are what the metal ridges or the metal poles plug into to attach them. Yeah, so, I mean, granted, these are maybe not the best quality in the world, and if you're taking them apart and a professional setting them up in over and over again, maybe they wouldn't last, but it's just fabric. There's no reason some white fabric and some black fabric with some reflective lining needs to be hundreds of dollars if you're just a hobbyist, and especially if you have storage where you can just leave them set up. So like this is my rec room, I leave them in here. And that's fine. And then lastly, so that's your two lights. You put your Cool LED 200 in the big one, and the small one, the Cool LED 100. And then if you're out of lights at that point, so if you want to like fill in light or anything like that, you can buy another light, or you can get something like this. So this is a newer reflector, 43-inch reflector. It's only $17. It fits in this package. And essentially, all you do is go take it out of the box and hold onto a side. And one side is all white, so this can reflect light onto your subject. You can even have them kind of hold it like this under their face if you're taking a tight shot to bounce some fill light in from their lighting. And then this side is gold. That's for making it look like a warm outside light. I mean, given modern digital cameras, you can just change the light balance to do the same thing. I never use that side. And then when you're done, all you've got to do is fold it up, twist it again, like that, and you put it back in the box. I'm not going to do that right now, but I'll set this to the side. So other than that, the only other thing you want to do is have someplace comfortable for your subject. And that is where this comes in. So this is a $50 stool I got off of Amazon. It's adjustable height. It's called the Seville Classic Stainless Steel Work Stool. And this sort of lets your subject sit while you're setting everything up and then take photos of them. And because it's adjustable, no matter how tall or short your subject is, they are able to sit at a comfortable height. Yeah, so that's all you need. We'll throw up links to all those things. I'm gonna cut away now, and we're gonna wait for the outdoor light to get darker so I don't have to fight with matching the color or anything. And we'll get Aaron in and maybe some other volunteers and do a demo where we show setting up the lights and taking photos with different cameras just to prove to you that the lighting is more important than the camera. Thanks, and see you in a minute. All right, welcome back. It's nighttime now, and I've got the light set up, and I've got Aaron here who's volunteered to be a model to demonstrate how the lights work. So I'm just going to turn off the video lights. I'm going to turn these ones on and ask Aaron to take a seat, and we'll see what all the pieces, how they go together and how they add up to take a good photo. And then I'll demonstrate first with a fancy Nikon camera, and then second with this Nexus 5 camera, which is known for having a pretty mediocre camera, otherwise a great phone, and just show you what you can do with good lighting. All right, Aaron, would you mind taking a seat? And all right, so first thing, I'm going to turn on the main light here and turn off these, turn off the overheads. And probably the first thing you'll notice with just a bare light like this is that it's quite a harsh fall off and unflattering. Any wrinkles, anything you're going to see. So you're if you're taking photos of people, probably not going to be too happy if you just do this. But let's do a shot just so you get an idea. So here we go. And so that's what it looks like, just bare bulb. And just double check, it turned out okay. Yep. Now let's throw some more. All right, so I'm going to pull this away from you, and then let's get it close. So I'm using the speed ring here to just attach it directly to the light. It's a little hard with come on, the light attached, but not too bad. There you go, clicked into place. And what you're going to want to do, and you won't be able to see this because this will be blocking your view, but you want to get the light as close as you can to, let me see if I can get a little better view for you, to the subject. And it can be very close because all you really need to do is have the zoom not include the light. So here we go. Take a shot of Aaron, get close, and already we'll see these shots coming out nicer. And let's just bring it a little further forward so you get a little more of a catch light. And Aaron, I'll just ask you to look a little bit, so look towards me, but if anything, maybe a little bit towards the camera. So that'll get those eyes lit nicely. And so you want to focus on the forward eye. And I'm shooting at like f8 here because there's nothing distracting behind here, and then I want everything in focus. So now that you've got your main light going, this will be the hair light. So I'm using my 100 Cool LED 100 light, and then attaching the hair light to it. And this guy, let's see, is this going to provide a little bit of extra light above. You want to get this as above as you can. And again, because you're zooming in quite a bit on your subject, you get it in as close as you can. That has two effects other than what I mentioned earlier about getting the light bigger around the person so it envelops them more. It also causes things that are closer to be even brighter, like percentage-wise the distance is further, so the fall off is greater. So let's see, that may be too close. Let's see. And let's see. All right, yeah, it's going to be too close. So I could Photoshop that out, or I can, oh, here's my dog. Huxley, sit. You want your photo taken too? Let's just move it a little bit further out. There we go. All right, thank you, Aaron. Sorry. And of course, I'm being pretty abrupt with Aaron, but you want to make sure your model is comfortable and happy with things. So you don't want awkward photos. So I'm going to do a few headshots. Looking good. A few more. And adjust the light slightly, but watch out, pup. Head and shoulders. Thank you, Erin. And finally, just to prove that you can use your pretty much any camera when you got your lighting good, I'll move this even closer to Erin and take a few shots. All right, thank you, Erin. So now, the negatives of using a cell phone camera are if you get in close like this, it's going to cause close-up objects like your nose to look really big, so it's very unflattering. But what you can do to work around that is to back up a bit and then crop afterwards. So I'll do a few shots like this. Further away still, and then we can crop down to a nicer shot later. And then lastly, just to show how a hand reflector can fill things in a bit, I'm going to break out the newer reflector and ask Erin to just hold it kind of down here. And let's see, I'm going to do just a headshot. So if you bend it like that, and here, just bend it like this. There we go. I can, what did I do with my big camera? Ah, here it is. Take a few shots. Zoomed in. And let's do one more. Okay. Don't be afraid to take lots of shots. All right, that's my demo, and I'm going to offload these shots. Hope they turned out all right. But otherwise, thank you for watching another episode of Stuff You Need For. As usual, if you've got any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave a comment on stuffyouneedfor.com. You can find us on YouTube, on our Stuff You Need For channel, on iTunes if you'd like to subscribe to our audio podcast. And otherwise, have a great day and have fun taking photos. Bye. Thanks, Erin.
Yeah. Puppy dog got scared of that thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Hensley. Hi, say puppy dog.